Hello, new viewers. Um, I'll just shortly introduce myself. My name is Benoon, and I'll share some info with you guys about driving Dutch roads and general knowledge uh, about the Dutch railway systems and trains, obviously, in Train Simulator. Or I mean, with using Train Simulator. Excuse me for my English. Obviously, I'm Dutch myself. Otherwise, I wouldn't. But I'll try to do my best with explaining as much as possible in the best way possible. So hopefully you will enjoy my video, and let's carry on. So today we'll be driving the notorious Dubbledecker train in the Netherlands. We will be driving from Arnhem Central Station to Utrecht Central Station. We will have two stops in between, the one stop being Ede-Wageningen and the other being Veenendaal-de-Klomp. I'm not expecting you can pronounce those two names perfectly as a being an English person or a person from another country, because I know we have a little bit of a harsh G in our language, but don't worry about it. Let's carry on, shall we? So this prompt I have on my screen says the following: "Good morning, master." It literally says that. I'm so. And today you can take the IC 3030 from Arnhem Central Station to Utrecht Central Station. You will stop at Ede-Wageningen and Veenendaal-de-Klomp. There are no things to be said. There is nothing special. So it promises to be a quite a normal journey. Good luck. So let's just close this prompt. Let's just show you what the train looks like first. Let's just go into free cam so I can zoom out a bit. So welcome to Arnhem Central Station. It's quite actually it's pretty accurate for what's possible in train sim, of course. Arnhem Central Station is quite a big station, but there's only like in total three different intercity stops here. So yeah, or four. I mean, there's one going to Den Helder. There's one going to Schiphol Airport, which will drive over the same track. And there's one going to Nijmegen, and there's one going to Zutphen. I mean, am I saying that correct? No, Zwolle and Roosendaal. Today we will be driving the train to Den Helder, but we will not actually be driving it to the real end destination. We will be driving it to Utrecht Central Station, which is like a third of the total route. This is because obviously it would be too big of a map in Train Simulator if we were to do the whole thing, and this would be too long of a video if we would do the whole journey. But let's start by getting back into the cabin by enabling the ATB system. What does ATB stand for? Well, I'll tell you. It's just basically it stands for automatische treinbeïnvloeding, or in English, automatic train influence. So basically what this means is when I pass a signal and when it's like saying I need to slow down to like 80 whatsoever, this red needle here will actually go to 8. So for example, if I'm like driving, if it's like the red needle is at 14, for example, if I go to the top speed that this train is allowed, it will change to 80 to 8 when I've passed that signal, which is like 80 kilometers an hour. So yeah, that's like the dynamic signaling system, and you will see it in a minute as well when we're driving. Then we have the deadman switch, obviously, which is also very common in normal trains. Deadman switch is obviously just a button you have to press in a 60-second window. If you press the button, it will reset that 60-second window, and then you have another 60 seconds to respond to it. Otherwise, it will start ringing, and it will put the train to a abrupt halt. This is to make sure there's no that there will be no accidents when the driver is not conscious or something happens to the driver, so the trains do not crash with each other, basically, or something else really bad happens. Let's start doing the normal startup procedure. We will begin with what I just did. You always begin with the ATB. Then you will start with the lights, because lights are also important. How to do lights? Well, you can use your mouse to put this up, or you could press H, the short key, H, to enable the lights as well. However, if you want to switch cabs, you can also press H another time, and then it will put in the reverse lights in this cab. So if you need to switch cabs in a certain scenario, then you need to press that button to put on the reverse lights in this cab. If you want to go back to a previous state of the lights, you need to hold in shift and press H again a couple of times, and then it will go back to the normal lights. What you also need to do is put your reverser into forward mode, obviously. So it needs to be 100% forward, because otherwise the train will go nowhere. Otherwise the traction won't know what to do with the train. You can also obviously change this by holding this switch over here. And the acceleration, deceleration I'll go over in a minute, because we don't have to leave yet. How to open the doors, you may ask. Well, before you think about that, there's another important step you need to take care of. And that's obviously the course destination. Well, this is a little bit of a niche thing, but I always like to do it at least. How to change your course board is you need to press the control button, hold the control button and press F10 to go forwards in the destinations, and control F9 if you need to go back to another destination that you've maybe skipped by or whatever. So I'll press forward to get to Den Helder, because it's straight to Den Helder. And that's the course board done. So now we've done that, we can finally open the doors. You can open the doors by pressing T. Some of these shortcuts, or most of the shortcuts, I would say, are like mostly applicable on other Christrains as well. Some Christrain trains do have other shortkeys as well added, because some trains do have like cruise mode and whatever, cruise control. But I'll explain that in another video. That was the signal that the doors are closing, and that was the buzz of the conductor saying we're allowed to depart. And this light over here, this indication will also show that we're allowed to leave, because if this is lit up like now, it means the doors are closed. If it's not lit up, don't leave, because then the doors are not closed. Now we need to put off our brakes, because the brakes are still on 25%. How do you do that? Well, you do that by pressing the colon key, semicolon key, or the mark key. So if I want to decrease the brake, I press the colon key. If I want to increase the brake, then I press the quotation mark key. Now we can actually go forward. How do we go forward or apply traction? Press A. If you want to like deaccelerate or just remove some traction, just press D. And obviously I'll explain the damage switch in a second. Let me just depart here, because we need to focus on speed a little. We now can't go too speedy yet, because we're still at the station, obviously. I believe in real life this is also a little bit too fast for this section over here, but we're gonna ignore that because the A to B and the UI says it's fine. Okay, go a little bit quicker, and then it will, yes, that thing means we can increase our speed. The maximum speed limit here is where the red needle is. The red needle is leading. Don't look at the UI, because sometimes some scenario makers do more stuff with the ATB than with the actual speed limit of the map itself. So keep an eye on the red needle, don't keep an eye on this. For most scenarios, not for all scenarios. So now I'll enable the damage switch by pressing Shift numpad enter I meant. Now I need to press the numpad enter every 60 seconds, or otherwise the train will be put to an abrupt halt. And let me just remove some traction so we will not speed. Let's enjoy our journey to our next stop. So we will be passing by Oosterbeek, which is the next station. Only regional trains stop here, no intercity trains. In the Netherlands we call the regional trains sprinters. The sprinters are mostly identified by their white, blue and yellow color scheme. There are like 4 different types of sprinters that are driving at the moment on the Dutch rail network. One is being phased out slowly, but because of COVID I think that will be going a little bit slower. We have 4 different sprinters. The SGM, we have the SLT, we have the Flirt, and we have the SNG, which is the newest. The SNG we will see in a minute as well when we arrive at the Utrecht Central station. Just passing over the A50 highway. And this is station Wolfhazen. Also, only regional trains stop at station Wolfhazen. Our country rail network is pretty like interesting because we're a flat country, but we still have like very different landscapes. A lot of different landscapes, really interesting. And now we're driving through a foresty landscape, of course, because we're more in the eastern part of the Netherlands. And we're moving towards the middle of the Netherlands, because Utrecht Central Station, or the city of Utrecht itself, is like located in the middle of Netherlands, obviously. And then like Utrecht is like on the border of forest area and like farm farm landscape, like forest landscape, farm landscape. So there's a lot of farm fields and stuff. After Utrecht, after the train leaves Utrecht, unless you go back to Hilversum or Amersfoort again after leaving Utrecht. But this particular line is really interesting because there's a lot of trees around. Because you may expect if you come to the Netherlands, oh well, everything's flat, it's not really interesting. Well, this is the more hilly and interesting part of the Netherlands, I guess. This is a little bit more interesting. This is more of your like average country landscape. Now this upcoming bridge over there, that is the bridge of the A12 going over the rails. So we're going under the A12. We'll be meeting the A12 in a minute again as well, but I'll let you know when that happens. Because we will be doing a side-by-side journey, I guess. Our next station is coming up, so we may need to press the quotation mark key to first the accelerator obviously, and our quotation mark to apply some braking, because otherwise we pass the platform and that's not a good idea. So apply some braking, not too much, because you don't want it to stop before the actual station itself as well. Do it a little bit, like sometimes a little bit more, sometimes a little bit less. Try to like get a speed of like 60 kilometers an hour when you approach a station with this train. That's
Ede-Wageningen, station Ede-Wageningen. U kunt naar Roosterdam voor de kippenlijn.
That is like a good approach speed, 60 kilometers an hour. With stations with a lot of different branches, I would say 40 kilometers an hour. If you need to go to through a lot of branches, then you need to decrease your speed to 40 kilometers an hour. Otherwise, the ride may be a little bit uncomfortable for your passengers. But a lot of signals also at those stations will already tell you to decrease your speed to 40 kilometers an hour anyway, so you probably will be notified about that in most situations. Let's just make sure we actually stop. Yeah, just gently, like that, and we've come to a full stop. And then we can open the doors again by pressing T. And in the distance I see another train already approaching as well. So you can also just temporarily disable the deadman switch, so you can just embrace the environment with the free cam. Free cam can be activated by pressing 8, and you can navigate with using your cursor keys and shift to speed up, like this. So you can enjoy. But we already need to leave, so press 1 to get back into your cabin. And put off the parking brake, increase your speed, enable the deadman switch if you are an advanced user, because the deadman switch is not really necessarily required, only if you want to be really realistic or really immersed into the actual train driving. Because if you just want to enjoy a peaceful train journey, then I would not recommend having the deadman switch on, because it can create some frustrating moments if you're not paying attention. The next station is Veenendaal de Klomp. It will be shortly after this one. And after that we can go full speed ahead to Utrecht Central station. Then there's no stops anymore. I've been on this line a lot of times in my life, so I know the surroundings. And this is quite accurate as I can tell, but I can also tell some unsimilarities in a minute as well. But this is a quite enjoyable route. But if you are not familiar with Train Simulator yet, then I would say the following: if you're willing to do this, like drive Dutch routes with Dutch trains and enjoy the Dutch scenery, it is good to know that you would at least be spending like 200 euros, dollars, or what your local currency is, because all this is custom made, especially the trains. The scenery is mostly free. You are required to buy some DLC from Train Sim itself to be able to play some scenarios. But most of the custom Dutch scenery is free. But all the Dutch trains, almost all the Dutch trains, at least the modern ones, are payware. So you need to be willing to pay some money if you want to play like this. You also need to use. You also need to make sure you have every single thing required by the route maker, the map maker. Otherwise, you may see some errors while trying to load up the map. But I'll cover that in another video. Our next station is coming, so I'll just slow us down already a little bit.
Station Veenendaal de Klomp.
This automatic announcement is included with the scenario. I've not done that myself. This is just literally how it goes in real life as well. The conductor or the train driver just announces before every single station what the station name is, so people know, oh yeah, this is my station, they need to hop out. Let's just go gently. Don't pay attention to wheel slip, because if you want to make a good approach, then wheel slip is sometimes necessary. If I'm gonna be completely honest with you guys. So don't pay too much attention to wheel slip. It's honestly just a very strict game rule which you don't have to take too hard when you're playing this game. Like speed limit, yeah, that's a real issue. If you go too fast, then it will actually have real bad consequences for you in the actual scenario. But wheel slip, almost never. You will only hear this, maybe this sound if you wheel slip really badly, like this wheel sound. But don't pay too much attention to it. I'm just doing again what I've just explained to you guys. So I was disabling the dampman switch so I can have a look around, because I just don't want to stay in the cabin all the time, because I find that a little bit boring. I also just want to enjoy the surroundings, because I want to appreciate what the map makers did. So yeah, that's why I always have a fly around, because otherwise you can't really see everything they've placed, and I feel like that's a kind of defeating. It's kind of yeah, not really good towards the map makers. I feel they should be credited for their hard work for making this possible. Because Dutch roads are not as common. Basically every Dutch route is completely custom made, because you can download British routes and German routes by just buying a DLC on Steam, but Dutch routes require a far more complex process before you can actually play them, and that's why I think it's more important to fly around and to appreciate the work the map makers did. Now here's an interesting bit we will pass. I'll explain it in a minute when we've actually passed, because we will be merging with another line soon. So we've just left. And now we're heading towards Utrecht Central Station. The only stations we will be passing by and not stop at is Maarn, Driebergenzeist, Bunnik, Utrecht Vaartterrein, and then we will be at our final destination. So we're just going through this flat landscape. As you see, we're like, this is a little bit farmland, but in a minute we'll be entering the forest again. That's another train, and I'll explain why in a minute. So here is another line which merges with this line. So this is the line to Rhenen or Veenendaal. So basically there's a regional line between Utrecht, or as I say, Breukelen, Uitgeest and Veenendaal and Rhenen, which have their biggest stop at Utrecht Central Station. So basically there will be a regional train coming from Uitgeest, which stops at Veenendaal, and there will be a train from Breukelen which stops at Rhenen. These trains always like go branch off when they hit that junction over there. The reason why is that they don't go to Arnhem, because they do not go to Arnhem, is because of the high frequency of intercity trains on this line. This high frequency line, which we're doing right now, is like an intercity train every 15 minutes, coming from one coming from Schiphol Airport and one coming from Den Helder. So we're now like the returning train, we're the returning intercity going to Den Helder, with our main stops being Utrecht Central Station, and in real life as well, and Amsterdam Central Station and some others. The station we just stopped at, like Veenendaal de Klomp, is a station where only intercity stop. There's no regional stations there. Why? Because it's simply not possible with the train very busy train schedule, because they are so. The train frequency is so high on this line. So basically there's a regional line between Arnhem Central Station and Ede-Wageningen, and then it stops at Ede-Wageningen. And there's a regional line between Uitgeest, Breukelen and Rhenen, Veenendaal, which stop at Utrecht Central Station as the biggest station. Otherwise it wouldn't be possible, because the train schedule is just so packed in the Netherlands, and there's literally at every station in the Netherlands you should at least expect a train every 30 minutes on a normal business day. Because because we're like really I don't know why, but we got a lot of trains going over our rail network here, and I think like 75% of like the Netherlands trains network is electrified as well, and not everything electrified is controlled by NS, but most of like the electrified rail network has NS trains going over it. But there are also some other companies like Blauwnet or some and some others, but I do not know them all too hard because there's just a lot of trains in the Netherlands. So the train station we just passed was Maarn, so the next train station is going to be Driebergen-Zeist. The highway you see next to us through the trees is the A12 again. And that's a very interesting thing, right? So we just go when we were approaching Ede Wageningen, we went under it, and now it's right next to us. You can also look it up on Google Maps and see how that works, because it's a little bit too complicated for me to explain in English. And we're back in the forest, as you can see as well. I'll also share the map with you guys in the description, so if you're interested in getting the map or knowing what is required to be able to go to use this map, and then I'll leave a link behind in the description, so you know what to buy and what to download and to install into Train Simulator, so you can also enjoy this map like I'm doing right now. Because even though it has a couple of inaccuracies, it's still a very solid map. It's really detailed and it's really accurate for the most part. Because it's also really hard to make something completely realistic and accurate in Train Simulator anyhow, so yeah, it's pretty good. Coming up next, very soon, is Driebergen-Zeist. We're almost there. Like there's another intercity train. That's what I mean with every 15 minutes another intercity train. It's just so, this train line in real life is just so busy. And also a lot of trains, even in this COVID time, are pretty full. At least in the intercity trains. It's a really busy line. It's a real important one. So this is Driebergen-Zeist. We've just gone past that. Because basically we have two intercities going here, one heading to Schiphol Airport and one to Den Helder, like I explained. And the one to Den Helder stops at Veenendaal de Klomp, like I said, and the other one stops at Driebergen-Zeist. So if I were a intercity train going towards Schiphol Airport right now, then I would have not stopped at Veenendaal de Klomp, but I would have stopped at the station that I just passed, Driebergen-Zeist. Where we've left Driebergen-Zeist and now we're heading towards Bunnik, or Bunnik, in normal Dutch pronunciation. just a little bit, and then we head over to the this, and then there's the station already. We're almost at Utrecht, and I'll give you some tips in a minute as well when we approach, and some nice facts as well. Okay, now we're going to the center of Utrecht. We're going away from the highway. Going to merge with another line, which we will do in the future video as well, and that is the line between Utrecht Central Station and the station Den Bosch. But I'm also eager to show you some other nice routes as well in the northern parts of the Netherlands and in the southern parts of the Netherlands. Okay, so now we're merging with the line, like I said, and now I need to decrease speed. Quickly. Well, not really quickly, slowly, because here's the actual sign. But I do need to slow my speed. And that was the A to B telling me to also decrease my speed. And don't worry if you've not like, if you speed it like too harsh, too quickly, or whatever, or like brake too quickly, because the thing is, in this game you can better brake too early than brake too late, because obviously. I think it's pretty self-explanatory what happens if you brake too
late. Reis ook zo voor enkele ogenblikken komen aan het station Utrecht Centraal. Station Utrecht Centraal kunt u nog overstappen voor de richting van Schiphol. Deze Intercity vertrekt van spoor 5. Herstel voor 7. De Intercity in de richting van Enschede. Deze vertrekt van spoor 11. De Sprinter in de richting van Den Haag Centraal. Spoor 20. Intercity naar Leiden. Spoor 12. De Sprinter naar Breukelen, spoor 14. En de Sprinter naar Renen, spoor 14. Deze Intercity gaat nog verder rijden in de richting van Amsterdam, Amsterdam Centraal, Amsterdam Sloterdijk, Zaandam, Castricum, Heilo, Alkmaar en Den Helder. Dit is station Utrecht Centraal.
What I'm doing here, even though I'm not going through bounds, just making sure that I can perform a perfectly good approach, because this is a large station. There's a lot of twists and turns, making sure that passengers do not feel uncomfortable. It's a very big station. It's the largest in the Netherlands, and you don't want to screw it at the end, basically. So we've arrived at platform 5, 5A to be more exact, and now we're coming to a full stop. There is no signs here telling me where to stop, because there's no like signs where it says to stop, dependent on how much cars you have, because normal stations do have that, but I'm just stopping where they stop in real life as well. So I'm basically just stopping based off my knowledge of this route in real life. So this is Utrecht. It's not maybe the biggest city in the Netherlands, but it has the most busy station, and it is the largest station. Why? Because it like connects like it's like a really center part of the whole Netherlands rail network. It connects like the southern with the northern and the eastern and the west all together at one central place. This is like a big junction of trains. I hate that it says this, but okay. If it says that you've not completed it, don't worry. You saw what I did, so it's still a success. The train simulator interpreter doesn't always completely interpret things correctly, so don't worry too much if it displays that. If you honestly believe that you've done a good job, then that's more than fine. It's more than good enough. Like, you're only really game over if you like crashed into another train or you've missed a platform by a great margin or whatever. But don't stress if it just displays that message while you've literally stopped at every single station. Look, we stopped at 0 platforms out of 4, and that's just not true. So don't worry too much about that as well. Is my tip. So this was my video about driving this particular train, the VIRM, and some nice facts about the train route I was driving. I hope you enjoyed this video, and if you liked it, then please let me know by liking the video, leaving a comment, or subscribing if you want to. So see you guys later at the next video. Oh yeah, and I also want to I'm also curious to hear what you guys have to say about this first video of mine. I would like to know some feedback so I can improve for the next video. Thanks. Goodbye.